Hey everybody, so this is Nathan Curran. I'm here to bring you a Brinestone video, but instead of being a tip or a trick this time, we are actually going to talk about Apple's keynote from the other day where they announced all the new products. And guess what? As a small surprise, and as a token of my appreciation for actually watching my videos that I make, today you will actually get to meet the man behind the screen. Alright, so, I don't know who that guy was, but I'm Nathan. I'm the man behind the screen. So let's talk about the keynote. So Apple's newest keynote from the 23rd had so many amazing new products and refreshed products, as well as some amazing statistics. And that's what I want to start with, the statistics. So there's over 275 apps just for the iPad itself, with over 35 billion apps downloaded. I mean, that's just a huge, crazy, awesome number. And they paid out over $6.5 billion to app developers. I think I'm in the wrong line of work. What do you think? So, let's talk about the #1 notebook in America and the best-selling Mac, period. 13-inch MacBook Pro, now with a Retina display. It's amazing. We're talking about something that's 0.75 inches thick and only weighs 3.75 pounds. It's a 20% reduction in thickness. I mean, it's just phenomenal. And the technology that they put inside of it, dual Thunderbolt, dual USB 3.0, dual microphone ports, an HDMI port, and an SD card reader, as well as installing a 720p FaceTime camera. It really makes the 13-inch just the absolute best computer on the market, because now you have the amazing powerhouse that the 13-inch is, and you also get it in the Retina display version if you want. I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, it's an awesome computer, right? So let's talk specs. So the 13-inch MacBook Pro Retina display is a 2560 by 1600 display with over 4 million pixels. Now, to put that in perspective, your average HD TV has half as many pixels as this computer does, which is just awesome. I mean, think about that. Twice the amount of pixels that are on your 42-inch plasma in this itty-bitty little 13-inch display. I mean, that's just awesome. There's a reduction in glare with this new monitor, which is great, 75% reduction. So instead of having to worry about the trajectory of the sun and the moon to figure out where you're going to place your computer, you can just kind of put it wherever. You don't have to worry about that anymore. The base model includes a 2.5 gigahertz dual-core processor with 128 gigs solid-state drive and 8 gigs of RAM. So other options include a 256 gig solid-state drive, as well as an upgrade to a 512 with a 2.9 gigahertz processor. That's also a dual core with the same 8 gigs of RAM. All obviously ship with the 2560 by 1600 Retina display. It's also worth noting that there's an optional upgrade to a 768 gig solid-state drive that's available. I mean, that's just crazy, isn't it? I mean, it's awesome, it's amazing, but it's kind of crazy. Battery life, as quoted by Apple, is rated at 7 hours despite the massive resolution upgrade. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the Mac Mini. So the Mac Mini is going to include 3 models. So the base is 2.5 gigahertz dual-core processor, 4 gigs of RAM, and 500 gig hard drive. Mid-tier is going to be 2.3 gigahertz quad-core, 4 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte hard drive. Now the server model is going to be 2.0 gigahertz quad-core processor, 4 gigs of RAM, 2 terabyte hard drive, which is actually 2 1 terabyte drives. The ports are going to include 4 USB 3.0, SD card reader, HDMI out. It also has Bluetooth 4.0 included on it, which is great. I mean, it really is the best way to get into the Mac world without having that high price tag. It's something that I highly recommend. The iMac. So, let's talk about the iMac. It's all about the display. So it's a full 5 millimeters thinner. It no longer features an air gap between the glass and the actual display. And it's also now edge to edge, which is really cool. And like Apple's mobile lineup, they're also removing the optical drive from this. So overall, the new design changes in the display and the Mac, it makes it a whopping 80% thinner than the previous versions. Specs for display coming in at last year's resolutions, 27-inch and 21-inch respectively. All right. Ports are plentiful: 4 USB 3.0, 2 Thunderbolt, and gigabit Ethernet, which is awesome. Storage is where it gets interesting though. So the new iMacs will actually feature what's called the Fusion drive. So the Fusion drive is essentially a solid-state drive and a traditional drive configured such as 128 gigs of the flash with a 1 or 3 terabyte hard disk drive. And what it is they actually use software to fuse the drives together for faster read-write time. What's also cool is that it just works automatically, according to Apple, which is they're going to put all the default applications, the OS on the solid-state side, and everything you load will go on the standard hard disk side. And it actually learns what it is that you use most and will move things around. So if you use iMovie instead of using another application, it'll swap them around, or vice versa. Say you use Final Cut Pro instead of using iMovie. What it'll do is it'll put Final Cut Pro on that solid state, and it'll take iMovie and put it on the regular hard disk drive. Flip-flop, back and forth. Whatever you use most is what it's going to put on there, which is great. I love it. So pricing for the base model, the 21.5-inch iMac with the 2.7 gigahertz quad-core processor, 8 gigs of RAM, and 1 terabyte drive with the NVIDIA GT640M GPU, which ships starting in November for $12.99. Then the 27-inch with a higher resolution, larger display, upgraded GT660M will set you back a minimum of $17.99. So the 27-inch iMac will take a bit longer to reach the market, with Apple quoting December for a launch time. So now here it is, the new iPad, and in similar fashion to the keynote, I want to start with some statistics. 1 million iPads sold in the past 2.5 years. 91% of web traffic on the market from tablet devices is on an iPad. iBooks, textbooks are available for 80% of the high school curriculum. So 80% of the books that are out there for a high school curriculum you can actually get in iBooks on the iPad. There's been an increase in business overall, between Fortune 500 companies that are starting to implement them more, and then as well as small businesses like, say, Brinestones, where we gladly use iPads. So while the iPad mini is what everybody was waiting for, Apple didn't want to leave out the larger iPad from the updates. It has been updated to have the faster A6X processor with 2 times faster CPU and GPU performance, as well as the new Lightning connector. The FaceTime HD 720p camera has received some attention, as well as the iPad's LTE support. Apple says it's greatly expanded, meaning more carriers will be able to join in. For those of you who don't really want the cellular tablet, everything except the kitchen sink and the phone, the 4th gen iPad's Wi-Fi performance is reportedly 2 times faster as well. So, and Apple also introduced 4 new cables today. They included the Lightning USB and SD card reader, which would be for you camera fanatics that want to be able to import all of your photos from your digital camera onto your iPad immediately. It also sent out the HDMI and VGA out, so that way you can get all the same current Apple products that you love for your iPad, all the accessories, but in the new Lightning form. Alright, that's it. I'm done. Thanks for joining. Oh, wait, what? Oh, apparently I forgot something. What was it? Oh yeah, the iPad mini. What everybody was waiting for, everybody was expecting, everybody was just loving, wanting, needing, before they even knew what it was. All this stuff that was out there on the internet for what it could look like, what it was going to look like, what it was going to have, what it wasn't going to have. I've been reading stuff on the iPad mini for months now, alright? So, but it's here, it's finally here, and we have the specs for you. So, after several years of development, it appears Apple is finally ready to truly own the tablet market. The iPad mini is 7.2 millimeters thin, which is 23% thinner than the 10-inch iPad, and it weighs just 0.68 pounds. Incredibly light, incredibly light. I believe they used a pencil as a demonstration for how light the iPad really is. Color options, black and slate, white and silver, and very similar to the iPhone 5's construction, they've made that aluminum casing for the entire back, which is really awesome. I think it looks really great. I love the iPhone 5. I'm in love with the new iPad mini. I need one like now. That's how I feel. Sadly, we still have to wait till November 2nd for the Wi-Fi model, and November 16th for those of you that want the cellular data version. Tech specs, what everybody's really interested in. 7.9-inch display with a 1024 by 768 display. A5 processor, which is a dual core. 10 hours of battery life. The 16, 32, and 64 gig models, as always. FaceTime HD front camera, and a 5-megapixel iSight camera on the back. LTE support, as well as Wi-Fi 802.11, A, B, G, and N, and it has the lightning connector, which is great, reversible. No longer have to fiddle around in the dark trying to figure out which end is the, or which way you're putting it in. Won't go on, and you're like, oh, it's backwards. Hate that. Always happens. So, yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. Pre-orders are available through Apple online, starting today. Today is the day. You can go online and order it. Or you can come down to Brinestone, put your name on the little list. We've got so many of these things coming in. I think we have 60 different iPads coming in right now in just the mini form, which is really great. And that's it. So that was my spiel about the keynote. Thank you for joining me here at Brinestone headquarters in Amherst, New Hampshire. Thanks to my lovely assistant, Mr. Dalek, my alarm clock. Maybe the last time you see my face, may not. Who knows? I don't know. You don't know. We don't know. Nobody knows. So yeah. So tune in next time. Same bad time, same bad channel. Have a good one.